with a 5 out of 6 win rate, but this would be even bigger, Lyric.
Yes,
like, hey,
Viper, yes!
Pulling it into JackeyLove as well, that is gusto. That is saying that you're better and saying, we dare you to pick the Zeri.
Let's remember that EDG were not a team who was playing much Draven until, again, I can't remember the exact date. It was either spring or it was last summer, where top esports, where JackeyLove dominated the 2v2 on the Draven. And then after that, Viper went into solo queue and spent like 100 games of Draven. And then has just been pulling it out consistently ever since. So opting into the aggression, we see what we just talked about, right? A Azir ban means you can more freely go for a Sylas blind pick. And so they did follow that route, and TS going to go with zeri Braum. So a lot of defense coming in that bot side, so you're trying to enable that you can neutralize bot lane, get to a point to where the Zeri scaling really comes into relevance, while also already having an engage point in the jungle.
Also, Mark's most played as well there on the Braum support. Little tidbit moved me over to JJ, who was hovering over jungle, but instead we are going to get the Rakan paired up for Meiko here, Lyric. So we have our 2v2s, but I'm kind of curious as to what we're going to ban from EDG, because no top lane, no mid lane here for Knight or Wayward.
Yeah, so looking towards mid lanes, right, we still have things like the Ahri that are left open that they could look to just get off the board. You know, very flexible champion, we said, that has a lot of utility. And now for the side of TS, what they would like to take away, you're probably looking at junglers, right? Things like the Junjia, highest priority thing, I think, still on the board. The Viego, the Lee Sin, and just seeing where they go. But Junjia, in my mind, is kind of one of the ones you gravitate to as, again, just the stock and standard of what you'd expect to see.
Especially with Sylas. We're going to get a ban from the Viego, though, to kick things off. So right down that alley, while Knight's Ahri banned away, the Sylas was already taken. Lyric, mid lane ban again on top side for Wayward, considering that man loves Gnar.
I think this one is the one where EDG can be a little bit more flexible. Ahri really being the only standout. Talia, another decent ban, but if they wanted to once again try and get Wayward off of something that could be more self-sufficient, because like we said, even though Tian can play and has played around every lane, it does tend to go a little bit more down towards that bottom lane, especially in this series. It just seems like that will be the focal point the whole time. I
mean, again, look, Meiko and Viper still, the fact that it's neutralized a little bit with the Braum you were saying, still looking forward to seeing that Draven in action. With the 2 mid lane bans, we get a copy of 2 jungle bans, with the Lee Sin actually taken away from EDG. Lyric, you were saying the Zin's out before, so jungle here with counter picked off for Flandre, is at the angle?
I think that would be the best situation to go towards. Other things you still have is things like the Sejuani. Jarvan's also played in other leagues, but there's like a lot of mobility on TS's side. So yeah, feels like if they go for this, does at least set them up to now have a flex pick, right? Sejuani could be a blind pick top laner, could flex in the jungler if you wanted to go like a similar route that LNG been playing, where you go Sejuani with the double melee solo lanes. But speaking of double melee solo lanes, that's exactly where top esports have gone.
Oh my god, Knight Akali as well. That's going to be a fun matchup in the mid lane. We talk about that in a second, Lyric, but we still need to find out if it's going to be Sej jungle or top. Further to your point, they have the option for Flandre to be in a heated matchup versus this Renekton.
And it looks like that might be what they're going towards. I mean, it works out so well, right? You already have a Sylas in the mid lane, blocking in this Jax up in top side, giving some more dimension to their composition as well. We've seen Jax isn't only one of these champions that dominates in the side lane. Also can be decent in fights. You come in, find a counter-strike onto multiple members, and provide even more lockdown. And now TS kind of having this insurance policy in topside with the Jax, while having this Draven lane that you just want to hammer in on and enable once more. But for top esports this time, I think having a better 5v5, like you have the peel coming out from the Braum and the zone control, you have this huge damage threat in the Zeri, and both Knight and Wayward, heck, even Tian, like this whole top side is such a huge dive threat that puts an immense amount of pressure onto an AD carry like Draven that doesn't have, you know, a dash or a blink to be able to get away.
But I'm looking at the other side, and while I see top esports being very melee, very close range as well, dive as you said, for EDG, we're talking Sylas, Sejuani, Jax, Lyric. There is so much dive ability coming out from them as well.
It is definitely there, and you expect members like Scout to be the ones looking to get on top of JackeyLove, see if you can just burst him out of a fight right away. But also some members have to be concerned about JackeyLove, right? JJ being that front line for the team, trying to absorb all this damage, and a lot of it is going to come down to if they're able to manage to protect him from the threats coming out from Knight, Tian, and Wayward.
But as you said, you know, bottom lane is going to be heated here as we run into game number 2. If you're tuning in now, you just missed EDG slaughtering top esports like it was round 1 of playoffs, and EDG are facing off against like an OMG at FPX, a team that we knew weren't going to make it too far in, Lyric. Let's be real. I'm dissing them a bit. I shouldn't. It's like a TT. It's like a WE. There we go. Everyone knows the feels there. EDG made them look like they could roll over them, right? Bit of disrespect, but that's what it felt like EDG were doing. Because coming into game number 2, Top Esports have to get back on the ship. Because otherwise, that opportunity of locking in World's First will be denied from them here today. And EDG will be our first to lock in the semi-finals. We return to game number 2, where our 2021 World Champions are on a steamboat themselves. And Lyric, I didn't get to ask you too much about EDG. I don't think we're going to get the invade here for now, so I think it's a good time to question how this comp gets rolling themselves and what their angle is.
I mean, I feel like TS in the early game have a little bit more leeway. You pick the Braum in bot lane to try to neutralize, you know, so you aren't necessarily playing much for the 2v2. Akali needs some levels under her belt. But once Knight gets a few levels under his belt, I think it's a lot about playing towards this top half of the map. You might be running into JJ frequently as we set up, him having the double melee soul laners, which could just get the Sejuani passive going so much quicker. But yeah, we're going to be looking, I think, at top halves of the map. Knight getting towards that level 6. What kind of aggression Wayward can put up early?
Looking for those level 6s. EDG on the other side, Lyric. What about in comparison?
The thing I'm most interested about EDG is what they do with the pressure they're going to be able to generate in bot lane, right? Because you know they'll be able to go aggressive. You know they should be able to contest, go for this push. But against Braum, it could be really hard to find those heavy trades to be able to look for the kills. So it could potentially open up Meiko to have some roam threat on the map. And if he's, you know, moving to mid, influencing mid lane matchup, it now turns into a situation where, okay, Scout's winning even earlier. He can now start roaming and enabling his side lanes. It could be this push and pull.
And if JJ's involved, there's 4 members on the map of EDG that can enable permafrost too. So I love the CC follow-up that is possible from this composition, as we're just looking at top side to kick things off with Flandre, getting good trades, but of course Wayward hits 2 first, and Flandre has to pay the respect. Jax versus Renekton. You know, we got some pretty exciting matchups, Lyric. Not even just through bottom lane, but through solo lanes with Flandre deciding to counter this, or at least pick this into Wayward's Renekton.
And with the state of a Braum bot lane, right, you can see both junglers realizing, hey, it's going to be up the top side, especially with EDG, with the Sejuani.
Yep.
So both pathing up towards there right now. With Flandre already going for all these heavy trades, could set up for JJ to look for a bit of an early gank. Wayward also being on that side of the map, so Tian wanting to get there first.
Just like game 1, they are matching each other just like the first game. JJ spotting him out as Tian is just forced to pay the respect. Wayward getting a good trade and not taking turret aggro. That's a start here from Top Esports top laner, as Wayward with the health advantage, and now Tian is just going to bully out JJ a little bit as he plays the defensive around the turret.
And for TS, even if they can't find anything like a dive here, this at least opens up things like top lane scuttle for Tian, and right now Ping's coming out on his Raptors, so it seems like he is banking on JJ to just clear out those Krugs and going to go look to take something elsewhere.
Wayward pushing the wave in for the time being. As we look towards that top side scuttle, God, I can never take a break. It's like game 1, isn't it? You know, you and I trying to talk a little bit about the intricacies of composition, and both these teams with these small trades, there's always the potential to build up. And I feel like in any top esports game, we say that because top esports are kind of crazy. And I feel like EDG are very skilled, but can also be very crazy in the laning phase too.
I mean, crazy is our game is the motto of the LPL.
That's
so
true. I forgot
at least it is very fitting, and we can see, right, with the way some of these like lane matchups have come out, not too much aggression early on, but JJ, really nice path going over the Rift Herald wall, and I mean, it looks like it's set up.
And he's just used his slice and dice. I mean, Wayward has one more at least dodging away. With the Wraith already down, but JJ flashing in. Permafrost is 2 more autos away. Flandre just needs to help out, but it resets. Now, is Scout going to come on up, or is Tian going to get the flip around onto Flandre? His Counter-Strike is available when he starts turning it around, and Scout finally joins in, and yet again, Scout is the difference with first blood over to EDG. Flandre getting out, and Scout is carrying games. Knight is a level 4 Akali, Lyric, as Chain Lash helps him flash over the wall. And right now, I know which mid laner I'm looking at.
I mean, JJ with the great timing, going over Dragon Wall to set up the whole gang, and then the difference, Sejuani, 2 melee soul laners, Scout having prio so he can move first, and now with that blue buff, can just spam and look for that aggression in mid. we're going to see here of what JackeyLove does manage to go over. There's that little spot in Scuttle Crab where you are able to make it through and go unseen. They try to get away Wayward. He does like a respectable job of trying to get away, buys enough time for Tian to come in, but you can see the procs of the passive already building up on the mini-map. Scout has prio, he's able to move first, and bam, so quickly to where you're able to get Wayward stunned, and the kill managing to come through. And sadly for Tian, it was already built up on him as well, so he gets stuck, and Knight being left in an awkward position where he was forced to burn his flash too.
0-1 on both jungle and top for top esports. Not a good early game yet again, and a 1k gold lead from EDG. I'm getting flashbacks to game 1, except this time it starts with the top side of the map, Lyric, and you told me Top Esports needed to wait for that 6 mark. The first item's also very important. Top Esports didn't have that whatsoever, and with EDG getting the punish now, it feels like this is going to be, you know, a bit of a rinse and repeat. I'm going to pause. I'll ask you something in a second. His Knight has to shuriken flip, but nothing more is used, Lyric. He's going to be walking back in. JackeyLove just with a cheeky Berber cross, but making sure that he takes damage on the way out. So, Lyric, my question to you is right now, how do EDG progress this further? Because it's a very good start to the second game.
I mean, right, we don't need like constant action. Like, EDG don't need to be doing something every second of the game. I like staying up towards his top half of the map. There is bot side scuttle, but it looks like the wave in a good position to potentially where EDG can make a play off of it. So knowing they're going to keep all-inning around this top side, Judge is already here.
Wayward needs half this wave to get to level 6. The Renekton will then have Dominus available, but will he get it in time? Flandre's now hit 6, and JackeyLove's not going to go for it. A little bit risky with the Renekton up in the top side. I guess EDG pay their respect.
Also, we talked about what Meiko would be able to do considering they are into a Braum lane and he might have more freedom. He actually did make a pressure play on mid just a second ago to help Scout get a timing for a reset. So I like that EDG are kind of using all the tools they have available to try and transfer this pressure around the map. It does set up for Top Esports to go for this cross map and at least try and steal away an enemy blue buff. But with Mark here, with Knight not too far away, it seems like they should be able to get this one.
So at least some kind of trade. We're toggling vision off because, well, I'm not sure why. I thought Wayward was going to get ganked, but JackeyLove actually looking towards the middle of the lane because there's no flash on Knight. He's got his ulti available, but Scout jumps on in first, looking for the abscond duck, and he gets it. Permafrost angled so nicely from JackeyLove, and Scout with an execution, but will not be diving turrets today.
I think it's the right call. I mean, they don't have information on where Tian is. They know he's towards that bottom half of the map, but he could be right over that Raptor wall, waiting and rearing to go if Scout does use that first hit of the ultimate. So they find another just lane advantage. You're forcing Knight out of lane. You're extending a CS lead and making it really hard for TS to do anything. Like, Knight's not unlocked in lane. He can't look to roam or influence side lanes or trying to get involved in these fights. And it's small wins like this that are slowly building into a lead for EDG.
I mean, we talked quite a lot about the fact that for EDG here, Lyric, you know, we've got strength in side lane, we've got, we didn't say skirmishing power, but it feels like a lot of skirmishing power needs to be set.
100%.
It's obvious when you see Sylas, Sejuani, right? Viper's Draven has been having a good time in lane. Adoration has been building up, and Viper simply needs a kill for EDG to blow this game even further open. And I mean, this is meant to be our top 4. And EDG, yet again, are showing a huge discrepancy in skill over Top Esports, who are meant to be our first seed. I just don't understand it.
Both teams, though, going to want to contest this Herald, and Wayward having the dominance available. Renekton incredibly strong now.
Let's hope I pull back that Comet Cyclone comes through. Viper hitting on the backline over Top Esports. A solo Viper looking for his adoration as it's Junjia to die first. Flash away for the Draven, but Knight's on in. Denied his cash in. And you know what? An instant cast the curse I'll be okay with as Top Esports get their first 2 kills in this game.
Top Esports just having a good position, already being on the objective. Their bot lane wasn't too far behind on the rotation. And then the difference maker being things like a Dominus, or even the fact of Tian bringing this multi-man CC in the Cyclone into a fight this early on in the game. If EDG could have maybe found a pick with the fact that Viper and Meiko had gotten there sooner, like Meiko going, you need to delete one member, it's like, okay, that could turn into your winning situation, but we'll see here, that's not how it happened. Wayward already here, bot lane pretty much matching pound for pound, and then with Tian going in onto numerous members, we see the Dominus pop, they're able to absorb so much damage, get AoE damage down, JackeyLove there as well, just able to put the free hit the whole time. And Flandre wasn't involved, right? Flandre pushed that wave in to the tier 1 turret, which allowed for Top Esports to be able to take that fight. So This time around, gonna get a competitive game.
I'm glad, honestly, because it looked pretty dicey so far, but for Top Esports, evening out the gold, and more importantly, getting JackeyLove a kill. Lyric, they also denied Viper some of those stacks of adoration, so it feels like for the Draven, now going to be within reach of that first item, thanks to the fact that JackeyLove is able to even out their gold pound for pound with the kill he picked up.
Especially as the game progresses, that we'll be looking at like different carries, like forward sides, right? Forward top esports, how big this area gets late game. But for EDG, in my mind, it's gonna be a lot more about the soul laners. The longer the game goes, as EDG now can actually look to punish the soul laners coming out from TES.
JJ has ulti now, Lyric, so I feel like looking a little bit more aggressively than he was before with that CC chain. And guess where we're coming back to? The Herald that was never taken. We're fighting over it again. That's more like it as Tian ulti's up for a double, but now with the whirling death, he's getting low. It's a double cyclone as EDG have been CC'd forever. And Wayward coming in to help his brother in the mid lane. Knight getting low, but surviving, kiting it out. They want Knight so badly, but they're willing to potentially lose the game for it. Top Esports, welcome to the series.
And I mean, EDG just hard forcing these fights to come through. This time thinking because Flandre can join in first, that'd be a difference maker. But like you said, chasing around Knight, they wanted him gone, buying so much time, and now EDG, Top Esports getting to lanes first. You can see them getting top and both mid pushed in. They're denying, experience of gold coming in from the opposite side, picking up the Herald. EDG do manage to get here first and finding their way onto members of TES, but they buy so much time. Tian luckily able to get away with the W, and then EDG just overcommitting so much. And look at the lockdown, like you said. Braum ulti coming out, just buying so much time. The Cyclone already there, and then them trying to get Knight. They're just chasing and focusing on him, but look at JackeyLove, allowed to get his damage off as well. And just really nice kind of play on small margins for TS. Tian looked like he should have gone down, able to jump away from the second half of the Whirling Death with the W. Knight buying so much time between the Shroud, between the Shuriken flip, between his ultimate. And it was really, it's what spelled doom for EDG.
And feels like it's spelling doom in the game because we've got an AD carry that's not as relevant as you'd expect with the CS he built up, the lead over JackeyLove, and the ability to get close to cashing in. 0-2 to start off this game, Lyric. And when game one was so much about this god in the bottom lane, this time around, JackeyLove is able to turn up with, albeit a very, very fancy pick. He's beaten down Viper now, who hasn't been given his lunch money by his mum. He has to haggle for it at this point, and I just don't know who's going to give it to him.
Ooh, and yeah, looks like actually their lunch money might get taken away as Mark and Tian.
You stuck with it. I appreciate you joining in as JJ's jumping in with the Arctic Assault, but is there any turnaround here? Wayward has just moved on down. Again, helping out his brother as Whirling Death to help on the wave. But Top Esports, Lyric, look at the access they have to bot.
I mean, they're doing a great job, right? They are doing to EDG what EDG did to them last time around. EDG are respecting, so they're not giving the kills over, but at least denying golden experience coming out for Viper and taking a ton of these plates with Herald dropped. Might even just be able to raise this turret outright because JackeyLove's still trying to get this damage on the board.
I mean, they're getting it down nicely. The Winter's Blow come through, the passive easy. There's the Ultra Shock, and JackeyLove speeds it up. Tian, though, under turret, stays too long. It stays standing as there's no cash in still, but Meiko with the quickness, chasing after a zeri. Cleanse comes out, knock up there, but concussive blows needs one more, and Meiko will die. It's a good trade here from EDG.
I mean, now you can see the Top Esports, they're like, okay, we got the Herald down, we accept that we can't take this fight. They commit Knight up towards top side, get Flandre out of there, and get some more plate gold before it did just time out. So overall, TS making good moves. EDG at least able to respond. The Glacial Prison able to find that pick onto Tian.
Yep. It's funny when Ice versus Ice and JJ pulling out that ulti. Finally, we get to see EDG with a solid response of Top Esports overstaying. All for the Herald, Lyric. They stood here for quite a while.
And you can see Top Esports wanting to stay, wanting to posture to try and make sure that they can't just get this one down outright. And they actually forced JJ to flash here. So JJ's about to flash out from the play and then throws out the Glacial Prison, where sadly, looks like he even had aggro already, just managing to be able to burn him down. And now with the TP coming out from Scout, it opened up for the two-man play on top for TES.
And there was a lot of plate gold taken there. For Top Esports, still 2,000 gold ahead. And Lyric, we're 15 minutes in. And even though we've seen these plays through lane, it's all been lane focused or on the Heralders. I have to pause the train of thought because Tian is going deep in enemy territory. He's got Mark by his side and EDG, even in a 2 versus 3, just knowing JackeyLove's nearby, they are getting outed.
Being forced out again, TS just keep all-inning on this bottom side. You're going to be able to steal away a blue buff. Drake's up as well, so it just makes sense for TES to be exerting all their pressure here. And it looks like EDG maybe accepting they can't contest because Jeja is just doing his Raptors right now. I want to take a second to look at itemization because Knight actually going to go with Riftmaker. Okay, that was close.
Yeah.
But Knight going to go with Riftmaker over the Night Harvester that we typically see. It's because both teams melee, very brawly, very bruiser heavy, and being able to get kind of that more damage in an extended fight, get that heal coming through is what will do more for Knight with the way that fights are going to play out, right? Because both comps, very similar in the sense of like melee, bruiser, all-in oriented, top sides and supports.
True. It's a slugfest. It's skirmish heavy. I love it. And Lyric, that's what I'm hoping for in this game. We're going to get a bit of a bloodbath, and some of those carries we talked about are going to be showcasing as well. Like, this hasn't been a Viper game, but we can see how this could be a Scout game. Could end up being a Flandre game for EDG, comeback mechanics there. On the other side, we have seen Knight already set up for success. You're talking about his itemization. Even had enough gold to pick up the Oblivion Orb, which is going to have a lot of use too. But, it is also a JackeyLove game. We've got 2 items close on the Zeri here with a Zeal in inventory. And Zeri, once she reaches 3, we all know we start looking at her W over terrain and saying, wow, that's a big one.
And I think that's going to be a huge factor of, if this game does progress that far, because, like, EDG do have a lot of dive and can, like, try and get on that back line, but them having to deal with the frontliners of TS means JackeyLove going to be able to play from that range pretty much untouched. So he'll be able to just get out a huge amount of damage out to her Viper. Going to have to be a little more aggressive with his positioning, I think, to be able to get this damage off.
True.
And, yeah, it's, I think, going to make a huge difference for TES.
So what are we gearing up for? Herald's coming up in about 10 seconds. That first dragon was super late, as both teams are more interested in fighting first. Ultra Shock lasers, yeah, not at the moment, folks, but you'll be able to spam in chat in a couple of items' time. As Knight's running forward, Shuriken Flip going to be taken. There's a Winter's Bite again. He's thinking about it. And Ultra Shock's getting dodged left, right, and center as Wayward joins in. We are building up to another 5v5, but Top Esports have all their members together right now with Wayward ready to slice and dice through the minion wave. And Lyric, I'm just waiting for this one as Flandre starts it off. There's a good stun, forcing the flash down to Wayward. He dominances with the Permafrost, still stacked up. All Flandre had to do was swing in and say, stay there.
Still, one ulti for one ulti, but Top Esports!
A mistake! Ultra Shock laser over the wall, and Wayward doesn't care now as they jump on in. Top Esports grouped up, but his return from EDG going to come through. Flandre and Scout at the forefront, but Flandre about to die. Knight jumps on in for that one as the Shuriken Flip connects, but EDG move under turret. They'll be safe, but still not forgotten as Top Esports turn a play that started out so sketchy.
Both teams, though, right? I mean, kind of tense. Both teams blow one ult for one ult, but then Top Esports grouping up and just all-inning over that wall to find that kill. Now leads to Rift Herald. JackeyLove should be able to do just fine, just clearing out these waves. Not a lot of threat from Meiko in terms of a dive coming through. No quickness online, already half HP, so it looks like for TS not really going to be contested. EDG, though, wanting to try and deny something, send Scout down to bot to push in a wave, but we'll see the replay here. This is after the one ult piece had already been taken off the board. Tian and Wayward just jumping straight in. The W from Zeri connects onto both targets. And, I mean, for Viper, it's so hard here when it's Mark playing bodyguard and the other members of EDG getting separated, allowing the whole squad to run down Flandre.
It's so crazy. We talked about, like, transition of carries. The fact that JackeyLove is so untouched here, Lyric. We talked a little bit about the Braum in this composition. Mark has just done such a good job, but it feels so nice when the Draven, or anyone else for that matter of EDG, can't seem to really touch him when he has his summoners available to say the least.
And I really like that Top Esports have been one of the teams willing to bring out the Braum. It's actually tied for Mark's most played champion this split, tied with Leona at 6 games. And Braum just does so much at neutralizing a lot of these aggressive bot lane duos. You know, phenomenal into engaged supports as we've seen over the years, typically picked into things like the Nautilus and the Leona. They had faith they'd be fine no matter what EDG answered into it because they did show the Draven early on and knew, hey, if we can you know, get through laning phase. Unlike last game, we have a lot more confidence going into mid-game. Is Viper!
Speaking of Viper, yeah, he's caught out. Tian under turret, one more step, but saving Private Viper. JJ, you absolute hero. Tian drops down, Ultra Shock Laser, no. No, Zeri, please, we can't take it anymore.
You know what? For EDG, the fact that they still managed to get one from that, you know, I feel like feels pretty good because it didn't look like initially that should have been able to get anything. It looked like Viper was just going to go down, but JJ able to play bodyguard to at least make him survive long enough for them to pick up another kill. Sadly, though, it wasn't a kill that was picked up by Viper. 20 minutes in, the Draven still has not cashed in.
God, I remember, Lyric, you know, I was 15 years old. I worked at a rifle range. I was getting $40 a week. I was trying to save up money, but it didn't matter how hard I tried. I was always just eating ends meat. As we've watched Viper doing the exact same again.
And we see there JJ with the ulti, able to lock Tian down. Once again, taking turret aggro. Flash did have to come out from Viper, but bam! Zeri W. It just follows you anywhere you go.
It does. 426 magic damage as JJ now caught out as well. The stun up, the Braum passive doing work as Wayward onto the next target. They don't even want to think about JJ anymore. Top Esports are on the train now, and Lyric, they are running away with this game with a 4K gold lead at 21 minutes. Who cares about neutrals? Who cares about dragons? Top Esports are searching for death.
For TES, knowing their composition, wanting to take these fights, grouping up together and kind of roaming around the map as the 5-man death squad, they will be able to get mid-turret, as well as Wayward's taking Dragon solo. So going to get a second charge. Top Esports taking a little bit of everything for a scout, pushing up at top side. They already have top tier 1 turret. Not going to translate into any objective.
Lyric, the goal just smashed out at 5K. I literally was just talking about it. An extra 1,000 added into the mix. 2 dragons now as well. I'm glad you pulled this up. I have to ask you how EDG can pilot this game from now. Like, are you relying on Flandre in a side lane? Are you relying on EDG for picks and to just double down at this point? What do you do?
For EDG, I think you should be looking towards the strength of your Sejuani plus Soul Laner, right? Whether it's playing towards Flandre or Scout, trying to find those picks. The rough thing is, you don't have a lot of safety coming out for Viper or Meiko, even just holding waves in mid, because Top Esports have very mobile champions that have very easy time traversing like a long range to be able to get on top of the Draven, who as of right now doesn't have flash. So he does need a little bit of babysitting, which kind of makes it awkward for JJ to go look for a pick anywhere else.
I mean, yeah, you're right. The babysitting, we've seen the majority of the game. It's a good pull-out because for JJ, he's been reactive and babysitting a lot of members of EDG. The counter-punch, the counter-play we saw in bottom lane 2 is a great example. As for Edward Gaming, not having much on the board, and this time having the AD carry that doesn't really do much, Lyric. We saw the Lucian in game 1 from JackeyLove, and when we're talking about gods of the bottom lane, how fitting is it that in our double elim, our top 4 of the LPL for summer playoffs, we get one of each here to open the series.
It's great, and it just shows when these top teams are playing against each other, anyone who finds a small advantage is able to snowball it into a win. Is we're going to see if JJ completes his back.
Flandre's going to be turned on, and it's in the nick of time, isn't it? The stun needs to come out, and Flandre's going to ulti out, but how much chance does he have? He has flash available, as Wayward's just keeping out of range. Slice and dice, though. He has the minion wave to go through. Top Esports are chasing this to the ends of the earth. Wayward has flash, slice, dice, and flash burnt. Wayward stands his ground, says what up, and Flandre has the whole team going for him at this point.
For TES, wanting to make sure they at least get that flash for the amount of resources they committed into making that play on bot. You can see for now, it looks like JackeyLove gonna push in that wave, but then I think for TES, being able to find that control, get some more vision down and look for these picks is the play. And for TES, finding this, even this one game win, I think is gonna feel really good because we need to remember last year's summer playoffs, Top Esports, they played one match and they got eliminated right away. Round 2, didn't make it to double elim. This time, at least, if they do somehow fall prey to EDG, they have that second chance. Before TES, definitely not wanting to replay the memories of last year's summer playoffs in your head, wanting to find this win.
And I think for Top Esports fans, like they have experienced disappointment amongst top teams, probably the most out of any in recent years, right? Lyric, 2019, no, you weren't on the team yet, but I know you're watching LPL and remember the fact that TES was so close to getting towards Worlds. Might have to pause on that story time as EDG are defending their own jungle, but that's because Meiko and the TP comes in. Top Esports are going to get flanked, but you look at the damage already coming out and the fact that TES haven't been aggressed on. Flandre looking for a pick himself as Wayward. Does so much damage to Meiko. JackeyLove gets over the wall. His ulti comes out and they don't have enough at this point. Flandre going to be next on the menu, boys, as JackeyLove flashes for good measure. A double kill for the zeri while Wayward now plays with the rest. Scout is looking for the execute. Oh, no, but he's over the wall. Draven, he cashes in, but at this point, the economy is screwed, Lyric. What are you going to buy with the money?
We're going to find out. At least for EDG, they find one. But Top Esports trading up once again. 2 for 1 won't be able to translate this into any sort of Baron, but just furthering their gold lead even more. Scout able to get away as well. You know, I'm happy Viper, does get the kill for himself, but I like the storyline of Scout going so deep, the personal vendetta, wanting to take the enemy mid laner down himself. And we're going to see here, right, Meiko trying to come around the corner. Unluckily, runs straight into Wayward.
Yeah. So
gives the opportunity for TS to run him down. JackeyLove able to pick up that one, and then Flandre left in a really rough place. Sure, the flash has to come out from the zeri, but I feel like TS feeling happy with that one. But here's what I'm saying. Scout taking it personally. He wants to prove tonight he is better, and Viper taking away that opportunity.
Only just the edge of the hitbox as well. Viper finally getting a cash in, and you're right, like, looking positively at it. Viper hasn't had a chance to cash in all game. At least he was able to get some items.
But look at those 80 carry items. Look at where JackeyLove is sitting in comparison to Viper.
You know what? Zeri cashed in a long time ago. Doesn't have the passive, but I think all Zeri players have been cashing in now for the last couple of patches.
That's true.
4 items, Lyric. You said it best. Versus 2.5. JackeyLove is now to those oomph level of Ultra Shock lasers. Level 14 on the AD with the GA for safety. And as they clear out the Baron Vision, trying to lure in EDG, this seems to be getting to the point where Top Esports are looking at ace EDG and take us to an even point in this top 4 series.
I will say, though, going into the next fight, Viper was able to pick up the Infinity Edge, so now going to be, hitting a lot harder. Doesn't have the flash, so that will make it a little bit rough. But hey, JackeyLove doesn't have flash or cleanse, so there is some, safety issues there for both AD carries. JackeyLove at least having the GA, but 4TS now going to be able to pick up this Dragon. They cleared out the vision for Baron first to make sure that EDG couldn't opt into any sort of, cheeky trade, even though I don't think EDG have the damage to be able to do Baron fast enough for, like, Top Esports to not get there and be able to contest. But still, I like the TS are doing their due diligence.
I mean, a clean game with Dragons, 3 in a row, and when we talk about Top Esports, the win in lane. Transmitting to the Dragons here is we're going to pause on yet another story because guess what? Teleports just come through from Scout and Top Esports are moving to the top side of the map. Viper not with the rest of the crew as they clear out yet another piece of the warding, but Top Esports are just going to keep poking them out, or at least trying to, and hoping that EDG misstep. Lyric is Observer looking at a nice ward to TP flank. Lyric, is it possible? Do you believe in Flandre?
I was going to say the problem is the fact that now Top Esports have a TP advantage. So Top Esports can send their soul laners to sides and, play out and try and play up towards that top side. Luckily for EDG, they're just going to put Flandre on the opposite side of Baron. His TP did just come back up. But still, if you can put a bit more pressure, look for another play on top, you force that TP out from Flandre, then Top Esports can have so many options in terms of playing the map, playing split push, that EDG won't be able to answer if they don't have those TPs available.
And look at where he is. I mean, as Baron starts, Flandre right now on the bottom side of the map, so that force won't be too hard as Meiko spots it out with the control ward. EDG needs something big here as Ultra Shock laser hits again and Meiko down to half HP. They pull off the Baron. Flandre still hasn't TP'd. Top Esports are looking for the turn, and Lyric maybe getting objective bounty here if EDG can push and pull.
Top Esports were hoping that EDG maybe would come in a little bit sooner. They could force that one out. And since Wayward was pushing in mid, it meant Tian was alone tanking that Baron. Mark had to play bodyguard, and they had to go off. But I like Top Esports. They see Flandre doing that turret, and they need to go once again.
And the damage, as you said, is going down pretty quick. JackeyLove poking them out on the other side as Flandre is going to be able to get objective bounty. As that goes down, we're waiting for the TP, but he's backing instead. Top Esports are not slowing down, though, As
Viper
Knight,
might
you're
walk by
pointing out, we're going to see this massive flank coming through. They're committing to the 50-50 Baron. JackeyLove in the back of the pit. Baron goes down to top esports, and the kills will pursue. Everyone in the blink of an eye is crashing in heat as Flandre is getting poked with a stick again. A double for this zeri, and top esports with that huge energy decided to take that 50-50 flip.
Top Esports, knowing game one, wasn't how it should have been. Come out differently in game two, have a different draft, change their bans, and able to show they are also able to take a dominant game against EDG. This one should be pretty much done and dusted. Having Baron being on Soul Point, should be able to truck through to the base.
And it's crazy, after the Herald fight, it feels like for top esports, they've been in charge the whole time. Kind of like how EDG were. Maybe a little scrappier, maybe a little bit more bruisery as you'd expect from TES, but nevertheless, a game showing us that the series could go the absolute distance as JackeyLove's out in the nick of time. Meiko can't get another cancelled reset on the next member too. Everyone getting spotted out piece after piece, but EDG's base is broken, Lyric, and we look at the replay here.
Look at Knight.
What seemed to be the flip?
Knight's positioning was so great. He was waiting in this for so long. Eventually, Viper showed on Wave, and he waited for the opportunity to come in, finds the Shuriken flip, manages to get on top of him. And sure, the rest of TS had to deal with the big mumbo jumbo that's going on in the pit, but even finding that one pick so you can then take the fight afterwards, had, a Baron flip not gone your way, was huge. But I love that you went back to the point of, like, game one, stomp from EDG, game two, looking like a stomp from TS. These are series that can go the distance. These are series where both teams are so good at being able to take these leads and just extend them as far as they can go.
And top esports want to return to Worlds. Only one time in the organization's history to make it in 2020, but it has been a long time coming. It's been a long wait again for TES fans. It might only be game number 2, but this could be how it begins as they're going to make the hard push, Lyric. EDG were going towards the Dragon, but top esports are taking the outside track towards the base. The third inhibitor down, they've got the Baron minions. EDG can't stop this. It's a teleport towards the Nexus turrets. The first one is going to drop as TES are looking for the fight to end it. Now EDG are here to play, but our first seed is burning them down. GA comes through, but EDG used everything to kill JackeyLove. Jet running away from the rest of the fight, but TES have gap closed the days as Wayward runs in with a flash, and Viper has been gapped in this game. He's the last one standing for good reason. The top esports, Lyric, are finally here to show up as our first seed in double elim.
Huge scrappy performances coming out from them. They go with this Renekton and this Akali. They're looking for these fights early on, and it felt like those back-to-back fights around Herald that EDG opted into are really what made the difference for TES. And yeah, just shot EDG in the foot. Now EDG know. I mean, same with what we saw in game one, right? You can't give top esports that lead because they know how to push it forward very aggressively. They just kept roaming around as 5 and picking off EDG. It's like, hey, we see Viper in the mid lane, go for the engage, get into the enemy jungle, zone them away from bot lane turret, push into enemy top side, and not really give them a chance to come alive, and even still have those like creative flank angles like we saw from Knight waiting in that Raptor pit for Viper to eventually walk by and find the kills.
And this was such a scrappy game at the start, right? Like, we saw first Dragon go down at 15 minutes, and it's hilarious watching these two go head-to-head because we talked a lot about Dragon percentage being high. We talked a lot about the neutrals being good setups for the 5v5s. Lyric, with a team like Top Esports especially, who don't look at that first Herald, that don't really care as much as they do on the bottom side of the map, this game has been focused around these Herald fights and the first Herald quite primarily.
Yeah, I mean, a lot around the Heralds, right? Especially in that game where you can understand both teams' thought process, right? On one side, on EDG side, you have like the Sejuani, you have the 2 melee, you've already been looking up there, you did pretty well in the earlier exchange where you found a pick, and then it's like, okay, TS as well. You now have your Renekton with Dominus, so you're feeling incredibly confident going into that fight in top side when you have these, I'd say, very effective, like, early game ultimates. Even the Wukong Cyclone, like, sure, the Glacial Presence is going to lock down one member, but Cyclone able to go in, you're knocking up numerous people and able to set up for all the damage to follow through from the rest of the members of TES. So I can kind of understand the thought process of both, but I think especially in those earlier fights, that's where for Top Esports, hitting those little 6 marks is able to come out huge to be able to take the full-on 5v5.
I just love that the game started in a negative fashion, right? Knight wasn't level 6. Wayward as well, not doing much. The pick out from EDG, it started in their favor. But as you were saying, once we did get to 6, then it was that huge impact we saw. And for top esports, once they get a lead, Lyric, I mean, they've run over games. Nothing really new there. Even if it doesn't start inherently just in the laning phase, when they build a bridge, I mean, they put so many pylons on it, that thing ain't collapsing anytime soon.
I also just want to give a shout out to Mark because again,
Please.
Mark has been one of the players who's willing to pull out this Braum, and top esports can play with it. And it's like after they saw how game 1 went, it was just a very smart adaptation of like, hey, we know what kind of aggression you're looking for now. You're even showing it this draft with the Draven, and we are able to bring this down. We are able to stabilize and then play out these team fights well because he had numerous ults that were knocking up, multiple people and just making sure that top esports had advantages in fights.
I feel like this game, we've got a really important question, which is, what's bigger? Is it Mark's carry performance on the Braum or Braum's pectoral muscles? I think we can leave that one to the audience there, Lyric, because it's an important message to send out that Mark is also part of this huge unit known as TES. We've got a 1-for-1, folks. We do have a series, and in our double elim opener, EDG versus top esports is sure to be a doozy as we go to game 3 next.